Hi, well, welcome to my guide to fitting some auxiliary lights onto the 790. Usually I do videos, but this time I've really taken photos step by step just to show you how I went about putting the lights on. So the three main parts really are the lights, the bar that the lights go on, and also the wiring loom that I bought. So cheap, cheerful, less than £100 for the whole lot, and probably a morning and a bit of an afternoon's work in the workshop. So here we go. Well, to start with then, the lights. I bought these this pair off of eBay, really cheap, probably just over 20 quid for the pair of them. Took a bit of a gamble, but they look pretty good. Very pleased when I opened the box. I didn't realise they had a sort of a USB charger at the back as well. Something extra, I guess, I'll probably never use. But they've got a nice blue halo light that goes around the outside, and you can see the orange bar at the bottom. That lights up and flashes. You've got a really nice strong beam coming out of each pair. And yeah, looking forward to putting them on the bike. So the light bar. Looks unusual the way it's designed, but was an extremely good fit when I went to put it on the bike. As you see when you see the photos later on, fits in nicely, blends in well, and seemed a good, strong, sturdy support for the lights. Yeah, time will tell. And finally, the wiring loom. Rather than just connect up a couple of wires to the battery, I thought this time, right, let's do it properly. Got myself a wiring loom. Again, less than 30 quid for it. Came really well packaged. Laid it all out, understood it very quickly. Lots and lots of wiring. I'm probably going to have to shorten some of the wiring. So hopefully good investment. So when you have a look at the light bar itself, you've got the two shorter arms that poke upwards. They fit underneath the actual headlight itself. And you've got the two longer arms. They fit on the curved part of the headlight support. Look at the next picture, I'll show you what you need to do. So on the side cowling, either side, you just need to loosen the bolt at the front that screws into the underneath of the front light, but remove completely the bolt that's tucked underneath the rear of this side cowling. Here you can see above where I've loosened off the side cowling from the connection underneath the curved part of the bar that runs next to the forks. Okay, slightly tricky bit now. You've got to be able to sort of take the light bar and push it up in between both sides of the cowling. Once you've done that, I connected the rear screws, just held it in loosely on the curved part of the support for the headlight. Tighten up the two rear bolts first, and then what you need to do is undo the two bolts that hold the headlight support onto the headlight itself, and then as shown in the next picture, tighten it back up again with the two shorter lugs of the front headlight bar. I suggest you also use a bit of Loctite just to make sure that things are in nice and snug. Once you fix the light bar, front and back, you should find that the side arm sticks out just like this in the picture. So that's the light bar. Now it's onto the wiring loom. This is going to take you a bit of time because it means taking the tank off the bike. So first off, take off the seats. Remove the battery cover. I then chock up the side stand so the bike is level. This comes in really useful because you're going to have to undo the belly pan, and this just makes life a lot easier. Now, I've got an Ian Chappell skid plate, which is absolutely brilliant. So the first thing I've got to do is undo the two bolts either side onto the bottom of the footrests. Now remove the four bolts on the front of the skid plate. They're the silver ones in the picture. On the Ian Chappell plate, you then got to undo, I think it's 6 screws that are underneath the rear that hold it onto the frame that you've already put into the bike. So once you've done those, you should be able to lower the jack, pull it out, take the blocks away, and then the whole of the skid plate plus the two side plastic protectors, tank protectors, should slip down, and hey presto, you're left with the engine in front of you. So underneath the fuel tanks, one either side, you've got the fuel cock taps. Turn them both off, and there's also two fuel sensor connections as well underneath. You need to unclip those and pull them out. You can then, a pair of pliers, use them to undo the clip that's holding on the fuel pipe, and then pull the fuel pipe off on both sides. Be prepared, there might just be a bit of petrol that comes out of it. Okay, onto the side panels. You need to remove your side panels, both the left and the right hand side. Once you remove your side panels, that gives you access to the 4 main fuel tank bolts, 2 in the side and 2 at the top near the battery. So you need to undo those. As you pull them out, just take care. On the inside there's a lug that fits in. The best thing you do before you refit it is to use some epoxy of some sort and just glue the lug back on the inside so that when you slip the tank over, it doesn't fall out of place. Now to the top of the tank, you need to pull off that black plastic surround that goes around the top of the fuel tank filler cap. See the 2 black hoses? You want to pull both of them out. They're the breather pipes from the fuel tank. Now you need to get a flat-bladed screwdriver in the lower green section of the fuel tap clip, pull it down, and that should then allow you to just pull the fuel tap out with no problems at all. By now, everything should be disconnected from the fuel tank. So I stand on the left-hand side of the bike, grab hold of the fuel tank, left and right hand, and pull it upwards and backwards towards you. And if you're lucky, it should all come off in one nice movement and be able to park it on the floor out of the way. And that leaves you with the bike engine exposed in front of you. Now, time to lay out your wiring loom. You can see it down at the bottom. I've got it to where the 2 connections go to the left and right hand lights at the front. You've got a switch on the right hand side. There's an inline fuse and there's also a flasher relay. And you've got plenty of wiring there, far too much wiring to be honest once I put it in. But yeah, now let's have a look at installing the wiring loom. Okay, I had to do a bit of soldering. Put the spade connectors on the end of the bare wires that came with my lights. I had obviously a negative black wire, but then I had 3 wires I wired in together. One was for the positive, one was the angel ring, that's the blue ring. On the picture it's the white ring that goes around the outside of the lights. And one was for a USB lead as well, feed as well. So pull those together in one connector. And you need to do that for both sides. This next section is just going to take a bit of time. You need to feed the wiring loom through, keeping it as close to the frame as you possibly can. You can see there's a bit I've managed to tuck in here behind that bracket, but feed it through loosely to start with, and then with some zip ties, zip tie it closer so that it holds in close to where your wires are going through. Make sure it doesn't catch on anything, doesn't go too close to the engine, doesn't get too hot. Just take a little bit of time, lay it all out sensibly. Don't tie anything up to start with, just get it all laid out so you can actually then get to connect the lights to the front, and then you can do all the connections to the battery terminal at the back end. Okay, get your lights laid out, and this is where you're just going to fit them onto the light bracket. Now you've got the lights loosely on the frame, time to just connect the terminals together up onto the wiring loom. I then spent a little bit of time working out how to store all the leads at the battery end. In the end I was able to put them on top of the battery with some zip ties. A bit of a tight squeeze, but they all fit in there at the end, and was then able to connect everything up to the battery. Okay, really nearly finished. Just had to find a place to put the switch. I put this just to the left hand side of the TFT screen on the black plastic mount. It's got a red light so it's on all the time, so I can see it's there, so that's great. And then really the rest of the time is just tidying things up, and then obviously having to go through a reverse procedure, putting the tank back on, putting the fuel cock taps back on, putting the skid plate underneath back on, and yeah, you're back to where you started from, but you've got some lights on the bike as well now. So there you go. Not the most interesting video, I know, but hopefully gives you a few ideas on how to put the lights on your own bike. And if I can do it, I promise you anybody else can do it as well. Cheers.